Welcome to the Higher Ed Demand Gen podcast, helping higher education marketing leaders share knowledge about learning, strategies, and tactics that are relevant today. See what you can learn today by listening to one of our episodes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Higher Ed Demand Gen podcast, hosted by Concept 3D. If you like our content, please follow and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or Google. And if you're on Apple, please drop us a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. My name is Shiro Tori, and I will be your host today. And I'm really looking forward to talking about the secret to growing business school enrollment. And for the conversation, I'm really excited to introduce Dorothy or Dottie Harpool. She is the Barton School of Business Executive Director of Engagement and Prominence. Welcome to the show, Dottie.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Great. And I do ask all of my guests this question. It's an icebreaker. Please tell me what you love about higher ed.
I think what I love most about higher ed is just seeing the results of your labor. I've been in the business for 36 years and at Wichita State University in the business school. And it is so gratifying to see a student who has been out 15, 20 years, and somehow I see them somewhere and they talk about what they've done and the impact that we had on their career journey. And it's just so fulfilling. I can't imagine working anywhere else.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I know literally a living example of this person. This person has been on the podcast in a prior episode, Bobby Gandu, and I believe he was actually a former student of yours, right?
He was one of my students. He did very well in class, very, very well in class. And he's an example of someone that I'm not sure he thought he was going to stay in higher ed as long as he has. But he too got that bug and is just doing so many amazing things for this institution. And I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, how fantastic. I mean, and to our listeners, just, fun fact, Bobby Gandu is the AVP for Strategic Enrollment Management and Director of Admissions at Wichita State. So really amazing. I asked Dottie on our first intro call, like, if you know Bobby, and she was like, yeah, of course. Her eyes lit up and she's like, yeah, he was one of my students. So really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And that's all. His success is all him. I just happened to be around when he was younger.
No, I doubt that, but I totally respect what you said. Well, yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about your role and also the Barton Business School as well?
Yeah, the Barton School of Business is 98 years old. We actually started as the College of Business here at Wichita State and received an amazing gift from Frank Barton, who was one of the creators of Rent-A-Center. And with his gift, we renamed the school the Barton School of Business. And his legacy lives on with our whole entrepreneurial type of emphasis that we have in the Barton School. My job title is Executive Director of Engagement and Prominence. And what I also am on the marketing department faculty. So I do teach marketing courses. But my engagement job is related to the fact that we are in the biggest business center of Kansas, and a business school's partnerships with the business community are vital. And it is, I have the luxury of being able to go and speak to people in the community, business people in the community, and work with businesses to see what they need from us, what we can do for them. And, but mostly it is to develop opportunities for our students.
That's fantastic. And I know going on the topic of Barton School business, right? I know you've been a part of many different programs and marketing strategies over the years. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what's working today? And specifically, I think you told us around how you're increasing partnerships to foster increased enrollment.
Yeah, we certainly are increasing partnerships with the business community, which has really been a part of the business school since I started 36 years ago. But what we're seeing over the last few years is the partnership that we have built with community colleges. And to be honest, when I started in higher ed, universities and community colleges were not necessarily partners. There was a lot of competition, and it really there were quite a few silos built, at least in the state of Kansas. And what I have seen, and I'm happy to have seen this, is that now universities and community colleges are seeing that we actually can partner, and that students are looking those first 2 years to possibly save some money, not possibly, all absolutely save some money by going to a community college for some of their general education courses. They may not be sure where they want to go with their career, and we've started to embrace that concept. Now, do we absolutely enjoy a first year student coming and staying here for 4 years? Absolutely. Um, but not every student's going to do that. And so we have spent a lot of time and effort, and I think it's been a real paradigm shift that we look at community colleges as partners. The university is the leading transfer institution, university here in the state of Kansas. So community colleges are a significant part of our transfer student body, but also we have a lot of students come from other universities and end up at Wichita State. How we partner with community colleges is with basic 2+2 programs, which means that a student would go to a community college for 2 years, graduate with an associate's degree, and then transfer to the Barton School. And we have worked really hard and still working to make that transition seamless. That we actually do what's called dual advising, where the student would have an advisor at the community college. They have an advisor here in the Barton School, and those two advisors communicate with each other to make sure the student is taking the classes they need to make that 2+2 plan work. And so we have some pathway programs. We like to call them pathway programs that go so far as to include the community college students in some of our activities, and when we have speakers, that they are invited, so they don't have that big transition from a smaller community college to a major metropolitan university. So that those partnerships are part of what I do, and we've really started to build. We've always had these partnerships, but we've really started to put a lot of effort and time into making them as seamless and as attractive as possible to the students. And so we're really proud of what we've done, and that has contributed to our increases in enrollment, because the last 2 years we have seen increases in enrollment, and part of that can certainly be traced back to these community college relationships.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think I mentioned before we started recording that, I tend to talk a lot about digital marketing tactics and how you need to improve your advertising. But this is something a little bit outside of the box of what I'm used to talking about, and it's fascinating. It's non-digital, I guess, and so that's what like it interests me. It has nothing to do with digital, and it's been having a positive effect on enrollment. I'm curious. I have a question. So, and this may depend on the community college, but when the community college is doing their recruitment and their marketing, are they actually in their messaging? Are they saying that transferring to the Barton School of Business is a potential in the future, and are they using that as a lever in their marketing and recruitment tactics as well?
Yeah, we both sides of this equation utilized this process and utilized this option for students because eh, students are wondering if they can transfer courses, and you never at this stage in higher ed and the expense of getting a college degree or an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, you don't want to take a course that you don't need. And so it is the equivalent of a product that from a marketing standpoint, that we have a product where you're an associate's degree student, and we've got a follow-up degree for you. And so it's kind of old-fashioned marketing. Create products that people want and need. And we're in the environment that we're in right now in higher ed. Students want and need this. We also have looked at community colleges and what they are offering and how we could contribute, not just with a general business degree, which is the obvious low hanging fruit, but we are introducing in the fall a new hospitality program, and that hospitality program is reflective of the really high quality culinary school and hospitality programs that several of our community college partners are offering. And so these students, if they're in, for example, in the culinary program at one of these community colleges, that's great. They become a chef, they have all those skills. But if they want to open a restaurant, they can come to us and get the business skills that they need to do that. And so we're really excited about the program. We've gotten some really good feedback from probably 50 employers of all types of hospitality, of the hospitality industry, who supported us in this effort. And we're really excited to get that started in the fall.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I do imagine I've never been to culinary school, but someone who really enjoys cooking and dining out, like, I hear the stories of, people with amazing culinary skills, but have no business skill opening a restaurant. And I think like restaurant business or service businesses like have the highest fail rate or something, right? Like, and so like, what an amazing thing you've set up.
Yeah. And this philosophy, it really can be translated, or it can be looked at in a whole different way, because originally that's why the MBA was created. The MBA was created for engineers, that engineers were moving up in companies and they didn't have a clue. And so years and years and years and years ago, when the MBA was created, it was for the same reason I just talked about. That and what we're seeing with our graduate program is that has not changed. Wichita is the air capital of the world. We make airplanes. We manufacture airplanes here, and we're one of the few manufacturing hubs, certainly in the United States, if not in the world. And so we have a huge amount of engineering positions in the city. And so we recruit engineers into our MBA program and have tailored our program to understand that these are really high quality students and they have great technical and um, statistical skill, but they've never taken a marketing class in business. As we talk about, you and I both embrace this concept. You can't survive if you're not marketing your products. And so it's fun for us to bring them in to the fold of business school.
That's fascinating, and I'm also learning a lot because I didn't know this story behind the MBA. That's great. Okay, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense because I think maybe the engineering job wasn't as it must have been a newer thing at one point, right? And so it was developed so that they have these different pathways into creating businesses. It makes sense.
The MBA program has a lot of management leadership types of skills, and that they probably didn't get when they were in aerospace engineering. But we have some great master's level in engineering also, but we do get some of their students.
That's exciting. I'm also curious, just, when you say, you're creating these partnerships, I know they take a lot of time to develop to make them as seamless as you've done, you and your team have done. But like, how do you start the initial conversation? Like, are you the one reaching out to regional community colleges or local community colleges? Like, how does that process go? Like, if someone listening to here today is like, that's a great idea, I want to start conversations. Like, how do you get started?
We have a meeting we've set up with a community college that we haven't had a lot of conversations with, and the I just used my network. That usually there is somebody on this campus on our campus that I know, that I think you have to know somebody there, and so it's old fashioned. I sent an email saying who I am, and I was given your name by such and such, and didn't I get a response? And we have a meeting set up next month, and it's just reaching out. And what I have seen, and that's not the first time I've done this. It's just I'm smiling because I just had to do it. But these schools, these community colleges, they too are looking for students. And if they can offer this kind of value added experience, that you start here, you end up getting a degree also from Wichita State's Barton School, it's a win-win. And so it's a little easier than I thought it was going to be, but what you really have to think about is making sure the two sets of student success departments work together, and which I can make the connection, but it's really up to our student success manager to develop a relationship with the student success manager at the other community college. And so, because if we don't have that connection, then the students do not have a good experience on the pathway, and people hear about that. And so it's not just let's make friends and let's be friends. We actually have to implement these long-term policies and procedures so that the student experience is the level that we expect.
That's great. Yeah. So it sounds like, I'm just trying to repeat back what I'm hearing from you is getting students success teams involved in these conversations early is a great way to figure out if you're a good fit, or to figure out each school's strength and how you can complement that with a weakness or a strength, I guess.
Yeah, the meeting we have in about a month, it is the manager of student success, one of the chair people of an academic department, and myself. and then they'll take over from there once we start.
That's great. That's really actionable advice, everyone that's listening. So thank you for the tips. In terms of Barton School of Business, are there certain things that are really working well from a program perspective outside of this new hospitality program you're going to launch?
Yeah, we have seen that we introduced a few master's programs, the supply chain master's program and a business analytics program at the master's level. They are both in-person programs, and we have seen tremendous growth with those two programs. And interestingly enough, it's not all domestic growth. We're seeing a lot of international interest in those two programs. Anything related to STEM, we actually just recently had our master's in economics is now STEM designated, and they're seeing an increase. That having that STEM designation is extremely attractive for international students. At least we have seen that. And so the other, and near and dear to my heart, the marketing department, our undergrad marketing department has been growing quite a bit. And one of the reasons why it's growing is that we have changed the program based on what our advisory board told us to do. And that is do things related to AI, have these students come out with AI knowledge, have them come out with, we actually this semester have a virtual reality class in the marketing major. And so that students can learn, how to, not necessarily how to create, but how to use virtual reality in their marketing efforts. We have a series of social media classes, and from a marketing, not just because I'm talking about the marketing department, but just from a marketing perspective, it's a lot easier to sell something new and improved than an old program. And so you don't have to create, we've had a couple new programs, 3 or 4 recently, but just revamping your existing programs and positioning them as this is exactly what the marketing advisory board said you're going to need. And so that those types of program revisions, we've gotten a lot of traction.
That's amazing. And I'm just curious, which classes do you still lecture at or at?
I am right now teaching the intro class, and so which is really fun. I teach consumer behavior. I've taught consumer behavior for years. I taught design thinking. I've taught a lot of courses, but it's fun to teach intro and just get the students excited. And it'd be great if I got a commission if everybody that changed to a marketing major, but we don't have that system. But it's fun to introduce students to the discipline and see if they continue on.
That's great. Well, speaking of intro to marketing or the fundamentals of marketing, what is Barton School of Business doing from a positioning standpoint that you think, this is more high level, right? That Barton School of Business is doing that's really helping themselves position themselves correctly in the market?
We position ourselves as the real world business experience, and which is not a stretch for us because our university, we have over 50 employers that are housed at this university on our campus that you look out some of our classrooms. For example, you look out one of our classrooms and you will see the the engineering headquarters for Airbus. And so you go to class, you walk down the sidewalk, and you can get an internship. We have the Deloitte Smart Factory on campus, and it's the only one in the United States. And we just had two business school students selected for their mentorship program. And so we have extracurriculars, we have athletics at this university, but we position ourselves, if you're serious about getting a job and you're ready to go through some internships and really develop your skills, we can send you on your way. And so we're very pleased in the response we've gotten. We really just started our marketing function a few years ago, and we're really trying to position ourselves as that, you're willing to work, we're willing to help you. And we've seen a lot of response to that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm a slight aviation nerd, especially in my younger days. I could name every plane, where it was built, how fast it flies. So that's really cool that you have Airbus and these partnerships right on campus. Super cool. Speaking of partnerships, right? I know we talked about in our prior call, one of the things you're most proud of that you've done in your time with Wichita State, which is creating a program, an internationally tied program. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
20 years ago, we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. I was part of the founding of a program with the Berlin School of Economics and Law. And it's a very, very unique program still. And what makes it unique is that instead of just taking our students to Berlin and letting them look at companies and be tourists, we actually put our students in the Berlin School of Economics and Law. We put them to work, and we pair up a couple of our students with a couple of their students, and this is at a graduate level program. And they work throughout a U.S. semester, so spring semester, on a consulting project for a company either here in Wichita or a company in Berlin that is interested in internationalizing. And so this team of students have to figure that out while experience what it's like to work internationally with people that are 7 hours different, that are English is not their native language, that they too have lives like any MBA student. Most of them work like ours, and we've had over 500 students go through the program. They say hands down it was the most impactful experience they had in their educational career, and I'm so proud of it. We've helped a lot of companies, but we've also helped a lot of students on both sides of the Atlantic really start to refine or create those skills that are so important to the business environment that we all work in now. We're not just in the U.S. anymore. Everybody is international. And so extremely proud of that program. And can't believe it was 20 years ago.
I actually really enjoyed the story you shared around the Ornado fans.
Ornado fan. We have Wichita is quite a entrepreneurial city. Wichita is home was home to Pizza Hut. And Pizza Hut was created here. Beechcraft, Cessna, and a company called Vornado Fans, and they're still around. You can buy them in a lot of places, and part of the program is we take our U.S. Students over to Berlin and for a week, and they meet their colleagues and the companies, etc. Then in the end of the semester, the Berlin students come over here, and so I was with them when they visited Vornado Fan because it was one of their projects, and they started talking to the Vornado PR people, and all of a sudden, higher level execs started coming into the room. And why they started coming into the room is that they were so curious once they found out that, hey, there are German citizens in the building. They just wanted to talk to them and said, why do you buy fans? And most importantly, why do you not? And the German students, it was like a focus group. It was so cool. And the German students basically said, number one, we can open a window if it's hot. Number two, we don't like air blowing in our face. Why would you want that? And number three, they said, if we're going to buy a fan, it better look cool because we're more interested in the art of the fan than we are like an American. Please make it cooler. And so I was there about a year ago, and there was still discussion going on. They had totally changed their philosophy as to how do we sell fans. Now that was many years ago, and they've been sold, etc. But it was just such an indication of how a company can benefit from our students saying, hey, this is what it's like. And just regular consumers or regular mid-level managers. And so it's fun program. We're running it as we speak. The German students will come over here first part of April. And so proud of it. So proud of that program.
That's incredible. And what a great example of like getting to know your audience, right? That you sell to from a marketing and business perspective. This is great. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. It's been delightful. I can feel your passion for business and it's very engaging. I'm wondering where our listeners can connect with you outside of this podcast.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Dorothy Harpool. Yes, it is Dorothy Harpool, and yes, I live in Kansas. And the Barton School is. We also have a LinkedIn page. We have Instagram and Facebook. And so would love for you to reach out. And I'm at dorothy.harpool@wichita.edu.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Thanks so much for joining today. Love the conversation. Hope we can chat again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.